Hello, in this video we will discuss about the serotonin. So what is the serotonin, and we will understand about the function of serotonin at molecular level, the synapse. So first of all, the intro we will discuss. So the serotonin, a chemical that carries messages between nerve cells in the brain and throughout your body, and serotonin play a key role in such body function, and the serotonin will develop or synthesis within the brain and the peripheral part of the nervous system separately, because the blood brain barrier will not allow to move the serotonin from brain to the periphery or peripheral nervous system to the brain, because the blood brain barrier. So it will improve the mood, sleep, digestion, nausea, wound healing. So it trigger the nausea and wound healing due to the clotting of blood, and the clotting and bone health, blood clotting and sexual desire. So here is the person which that's contain brain. So let's begin to understand the sagittal cross section of the brain which that's contain limbic system is here. So the limbic system contain a VTA, the ventral tegmental area. We will just understand about the overview for the function. So here is the nucleus accumbens, and this is the prefrontal cortex, which that is involving for the production of the serotonin as a function in the brain. So in this way you can see this is the nerve will give the transmission to the peripheral prefrontal cortex to the mesocortical path, and also the nucleus accumbens, which that interconnection. So a serotonin pathway that identifies aggregate projections from neurons which synthesis and communicate the monoamine neurotransmitter serotonin. This pathway is relevant to different psychiatric and neurological disorder. So when the serotonin will increase, will lead to hallucination or delusion, which that is the psychosis can be occur. But when the low level of the serotonin will lead to cause the depression, decrease the arousal, nausea, vomiting and sadness. But the psychosis is best involved for the dopamine, not serotonin, but little amount you can understand. So the low level will lead to car depression, decreased arousal, nausea, vomiting, and sadness. So this is the nucleus accumbens, and this is the ventral tegmental area, which that's contain nerve fiber, and this contain myelinated. And in this way, the central nervous system, which that's contain also glial cell, which that stimulate with the binding with the serotonin. So the neuroplasticity development, immunoactive, improve memory due to the development of the brain due to the binding of the serotonin with glial cell. So the health of the brain is directly responsible for the serotonin. While the peripheral nervous system, the serotonergic neuron will release the serotonin, will bind with a specific tissue, specific cell. For example, stomach cell, there is a lot of type of cells which that will lead to trigger the serotonin contraction, activation and relaxation, as well as pain inhibition. So in the end of the video, we will also learn about the serotonin target to the different region with the receptor. So here is we will understand about the molecular pathway and their synapse. So let's zoom out the synapse between the cell, the glial cell and the other cell. For example, the nucleus accumbens containing cell and the ventral tegmental area cell, or the different type of cell basically. So in this way, the here is the presynaptic neuron. The presynaptic neuron, for example, in the brain. So in the brain, for example, contain nucleus accumbens and the VTA. So this, for example, VTA, the tryptophan will convert into the 5-HTP, the hydroxytryptophan, and this the TPH, the tryptophan hydroxylase enzyme to convert the 5-HTP, and this the DDC enzyme containing basically will convert the 5-HTP to the 5-HT. And in this way the synaptic vesicle will combine with the VMAT to convert field and exocytosis of the serotonin. So this is the brown color is the serotonin molecule. So after this recycling will occur of the vesicle. So in this way the happiness, drug abuse, satiety after eating, these all things will lead to trigger the serotonin for exocytosis. After this exocytosis, it is basically due to the stimulation of the higher brain cortex to stimulate the serotonergic neuron. And here is if the not basically, so the 5-HT1 beta receptor which that inhibit the VMAT to exocytosis. So the transportation will not occur. So in this way the event it will be triggered due to the happiness. So it will be bind. Here you can see the serotonin with a different receptor. Let's begin to understand. So this is the synapse. So in this way the 5-HT family containing 4, 6, 7 contain G coupled protein receptor intracellularly, the dimeric, the GNS protein, when bind with it to trigger the AC5 protein, and also the sodium influx due to the depolarization will begin, and the calcium will also move influx into the postsynaptic cell. So after this calcium will also move inside, and on the other hand the AC5, so the adenylate cyclase 5 enzyme which that convert the dimeric protein will convert to stimulate the cyclic AMP, and this cyclic AMP will trigger through adenylate cyclase 5 enzyme, and in this way the protein kinase C will activate, and the EPAC also activate to AP alpha will activate. And what is the protein kinase C activation? The meaning of this in this situation, basically protein kinase C will inhibit the GABA neurotransmitter, because GABA is mostly inhibitor for the serotonin releasing. So the GABA will not produce, the GABAminergic neuron will inhibit to releasing of the GABA. So the inhibition will occur and the happiness will trigger more. So when we will go to the sad, so the happiness will be inhibited via a GABA will inhibit the serotonergic neuron. So that is the alternative system. And here you can see this the 5-HT5 alpha receptor containing dimeric protein, the G coupled protein I and O, and in this way the 5-HT1A and F receptor which bind with the serotonin will trigger the phospholipase C via a phospholipase C to convert the diacylglycerol. And here is the 5-HT2 receptor. This 5-HT2 receptor contains the GQ. This protein, the protein basically will activate intracellularly to trigger the calcium move influx. So the 5-HT2A receptor, which also triggered by basically the phospholipase A2 enzyme to convert AA. So this is the amino acid triggering mechanism. So this is here you can see this the voltage gate, it's calcium channel which that allow to move influx due to the triggering through 5-HT2 receptor. While here you can see the amino acid phospholipase A2 which that will trigger, and in this way to trigger the COX and LOX basically, and the cytochrome P450 which that is trigger here. On the other hand, these also increase the EATs and DHET and HPETE and the PGS and TXS. This is basically the response. And on the other hand, here you can understand, just for understanding, this is a 5-HT5 alpha will activate through phospholipase C to inhibit the adenylate cyclase 5. So in this way, the adenylate cyclase 5 will be inhibit, will lead to GABA increase. When GABA increase mean it will be inhibit the more production of serotonin more, and the GABAergic neuron will activate. So that is basically the mechanism for understanding. On the other hand, the calcium will trigger the RAS, and protein kinase C also trigger the RAF-MEC-ERK pathway for several function. So here is the calcium also move inside into the, when binding with the serotonin with the GQ protein, 5-HT receptor containing GQ protein. And in this way, here is you can understand as well, this is the synapse will occur, and in this way the serotonin transporter channel will allow to move influx, the extra serotonin will convert into the 5H1 AA. And on the other hand, here you can see this is the GQ which that is bind, and it will target trigger via phospholipase C to IP3 pathway, and this IP3 pathway triggering, and in this way the 2A which that is the 5-HT receptor containing will trigger the calcium move out flux due to the endoplasmic reticulum activation via a IP3 pathway, which that will lead to increase the calcium mean it will function differently. But anyhow, remember that here is the nerve firing in the your nerve firing rate and brain plasticity of nerves, early brain development and immune response due to the glial cell. So here let's begin to understand the bigger picture for understanding. This is the extracellular synapse, and the cytoplasm is here. So contain a closed ligand gated channel, ion channel, when not bind with the serotonin 5-HT. So when bind with the releasing of the neurotransmitter serotonin, it will be bind to open the open ligand gated ion channel. After the opening, it will be moved into the cytoplasm, so the ions influx. And in this way you can see the 5-HT bound to 5-HT3 receptor and will lead to flow of ions across plasma membrane and into the movement when inside to depolarization will trigger the stimulation or some other things. So remember, here you can understand this is the receptor subtypes, the different receptor subtypes, and the signaling mechanism. Basically is the cyclic AMP decrease and cyclic AMP through 5-HT receptor, and the cyclic AMP decrease or IP3 increase. And you can stop the video to understand more well. And this is the 5-HT3 which that will lead to trigger the sodium potassium ion channel. A signaling mechanism is occur due to this, and the distribution is basically you can understand the 5-HT1A which that is the Raphi nuclei, hippocampus, and substantia nigra which that is used for the 5-HT1B, globus pallidus, basal ganglia used for the Parkinson disease, etc. So the cognition. So I am not reading completely, but you can stop to understand if you want. So the vasoconstriction effect is the memory, anxiety, vasoconstriction, cellular excitation, muscle contraction, appetite, anxiety, vomiting, gut motility, locomotion, sleep, cognition, learning, which that is also all type is the effect, and the regular sleep, feeding, and anxiety, neuronal activation, etc., which that is you can understand. So that is the function of the serotonin via our different receptors. So thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share if you will want to get more videos and this video about the serotonin and their function. So I hope you make sense about this. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share to your friends.